first sword technique, the ending blow. After learning the move, we can finally head up to the entrance to the forest temple, use our lantern to burn the webs, and enter. The final time on the GameCube version was 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 55 seconds, and the final time on Wii U was 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 35 seconds.
Alright, and here we have the run. I will periodically commentate on the run when I do certain things or why I do certain things. And it's also worth noting that sometimes, because I'm a stupid idiot, I fucked up the audio recording. So there's parts of the video that are just muted because the audio would have been unusable otherwise. Another thing to mention about this game is that you can skip pretty much every cutscene, which means there's little to no downtime of just sitting there watching 2-minute long cutscenes, which is pretty nice. As I'm riding for Orden Village, I will not take a straight line towards the objective. I will instead go out of my way to collect some rupees. And the reason for this is that we need exactly 30 rupees to buy the slingshot on Orden Day 2. And these rupees are just in the way, conveniently to be picked up. There isn't too much to say about goat herding, it just sucks. I hate it so much, mainly because I'm really bad at it. You have to do it twice in the run. And, you know, every time I have to do it, it kinda sucks, and I'm really bad at it. However, speedrunners can herd goats really quickly. They can get times in the low 16-second mark, but usually hover around 20, and I just wish I was that good. Well, I could learn to be this good, but fuck the goats, man, they're just annoying. Coming out of Link's house, we will do a cheeky side up to land close to a rupee that's hidden on the rock. Again, to bring us closer to that 30 rupees that we need to buy the slingshot. Nice bonk. I love bonking in this game, it happens a lot, especially when you try to open doors. It's annoying. So, for the hawk, it's important to note that Whatever direction Link is facing is the direction the first camera will point towards when you deploy the hawk. So facing towards where you want to shoot the hawk is beneficial. However, I'm too stupid and just can't press the A button, which means I will be facing the opposite way trying to get the baby cradle here, which is not optimal. Delivering the baby cradle does not only grant us the fishing rod, it also brings us close to the house where we can do a really cool jump to get 20 rupees. Fun fact, as a kid, I've actually never really thought of how to get up there the traditional way. I don't think you're supposed to jump off the mailbox, but I also don't know how to do it normally, so, you know. But yeah, this is the jump. It's not too difficult. It's a bit of a weird angle sometimes, but with a bit of practice, it's very consistent to get. Also, these 2 yellow rupees bring us up to 28, meaning that we only need to collect 2 more rupees to be able to buy the slingshot. Nice bonk. Here you can see me get confused about the fishing controls. I haven't played this game in a while, and I kind of forgot what way you have to pull the stick. I try to pull the C-stick up, but you have to pull it down to take in the fishing rod. It's also important to note that we are playing on the GameCube release where you have to catch 2 fish instead of 1. They changed the amount of fish you have to catch for the Wii U version of the game. Now we can not only buy the slingshot, we will also get our first bottle of the run, which is actually pretty important for later, and I will tell you why when exactly the bottle comes into play. We have now done everything we need to do in order to progress. Now we can head back to Link's house where we'll get our sword and also have to do the slingshot minigame and the sword learning tutorial with the kids. Here I failed to talk to the kids, which is unfortunate. Also, I'm really bad at aiming with the slingshot, mainly because, aiming with a stick is not that easy. However, if you're really good at it, you can get this done really quickly. I struggle a bit with it, though. One thing you've seen me do throughout the run is constantly rolling with Link, and the reason for this is that this is just the fastest way to move as Link. Ideally, you want the chain rolls frame perfectly, and you can actually check if you're rolling frame perfectly if the item wheel at the top doesn't flash. If it flashes, then you've not rolled frame perfectly. I didn't mean to reach a sign there. there's a way to kill these 2 bokoblins really quickly by standing in a not too precise position and having them line up perfectly. Now we get into goat herding 2, which has twice as many goats as goat herding 1, but also a timer to make you feel even more bad about, well, how bad you are at herding goats. I have sometimes gotten really good times in around the 30-second range, but this run wasn't so lucky, or rather I'm just really bad at herding goats. But yeah, if you've played this game, as I said before, you know that these goats are just really freaking annoying. Also interesting to note that in the any percent speedrun of this game, goat herding 1 is actually skipped, and the only goat herding these runners need to do is this one. Which is nice. It still sucks, but it's nice. We have now done everything we need to do and can turn into Wolf Link. This is a really cool trick you can try to do yourself. Usually you just have to wait here until the cutscene appears, but if you actually manage to time a combo with the very beginning of the cutscene, you can break the boxes earlier. It's a called box skip and it saves a minuscule amount of time. I have never gotten it before, but I usually go for it because, you know, it's kind of fun to do. One thing to mention about Link's dash is that whenever you dash as Wolf Link, you get... the game sets a timer that runs out until you can dash again. However, if that dash is interrupted by any action within the first 10 frames, that timer never starts, or it just gets reset. I am not too sure, but you can dash immediately again. I will use this a few times throughout, and I will mention it the first time, because it's really cool, and it saves a bit of time, so why not do it? After pulling the second ring, I will perform a dash cancel, as I stated before. By dashing and immediately be attacking off the platform, I can immediately dash on the ground again. It is actually possible to skip this little midna trigger where she calls you a stupid idiot if you jump to the very left of the blocks, which means you'll avoid falling into the water. I unfortunately didn't get it here. These keys are a bit annoying. If you don't kill them, there's a chance that they will just hit you out of your midna jump, and it usually happens to me, but sometimes I'm fast enough, and this time I was fast enough, and I didn't have to kill them. Getting all sorted shield in Autumn Village, there's a lot of animals that we can accidentally talk to, as you'll think, and I will try to avoid all of them. Unfortunately, I talked to the dog there. Didn't avoid all animals. Now that we have the sword and shield, we can officially leave into the Faron Woods, which also means that we have to do the first tier collecting. Something that many players don't like about the game is the tier collecting, specifically on the GameCube and re-releases of the game. Since you have to collect 16 tiers instead of 12, they changed the amount of tiers on the Wii U HD version, but honestly speaking, most of the tiers that they removed were just blocks that were crammed together. So instead of having 3 or 4 blocks in one location, you just have 1 or 2. So it doesn't really make that big of a difference. Shadow Beast spawning is one of the cutscenes in the game that you just cannot skip, which is kind of annoying because it doesn't really do anything other than showing you how many Shadow Beasts there are, and it just takes ages. We also require to lose on purpose here, and there's a really quick way to do that by doing 2 charged B attacks. After that, we unlock the Midnight Charge B attack, which allows us to finish the fights. Fortunately enough, the first tier collecting is really straightforward. Compared to the other 2 times you have to collect tiers, this one is really easy and can be done really quickly, even if you don't exactly know what you're doing. So usually you have to wait for tiers to come down, but by doing a jump attack, you can collect them a bit faster than you're supposed to. One cool thing about this game is how it reuses area. Earlier we ran through this cave as Link, but now that we're with Link we can just dig through most of the cave, which is a lot faster. I unfortunately mess up here, meaning that I have to redo the fight, losing a bit of time. Interestingly, this is also the fight where you could get the early Master Swords. If you don't know speedruns of this game, you don't know this trick. It's a very precise jump with midness, B attack, that allows you to get the Master Sword extremely early. And that is tier collecting done. There's only one annoying part left until we can enter the first dungeon, and that is going through the purple mist with the help of the monkey. This monkey, by the way, is also the reason that we needed the bottle, or the reason the bottle was this important. You'll see why after we've done the section with the monkey. Now we get into probably the most annoying section that you have to do to enter a forest temple, which is going for the purple mist of this monkey. Not only is he extremely slow, he also takes a very suboptimal path through the mist, and he will also completely empty your lantern, and you need a lantern to burn the cobwebs in front of the temple. This is also why we need the bottle. One thing you can try to do, mainly because out of boredom, but also because it makes the monkey go a bit faster, is whenever he swings his little lantern, you just push him forward a bit. Or try to push him forward at least. It's really finicky to do, and it doesn't really save anything. It's mainly just there to ease the boredom a bit. Another thing that makes this even more annoying is that whenever there is an enemy nearby, the monkey will just freak out and stop doing what he's doing, so you ideally want to kill them as quick as possible. So we empty the bottle here in order to be able to fill it with oil at the bird later. And the cool thing about the bird is that you can just steal from him. You don't have to pay, and since we don't have any rupees, this is perfect, because otherwise we'd have to farm rupees in order to pay for the refill. But we can just steal it. Another funny thing to point out is that right before you enter Forest Temple, you encounter the first Golden Wolf, and this Golden Wolf teaches you Ending Blow. Ending Blow is required to beat the game to deal the final blow to Ganon at the end, but in any percent, you can technically just skip getting Ending Blow altogether, and you can go throughout the entire game without needing it at all. The only catch is that if you never learn it, you just can't beat the game, and there have been many instances of runners just forgetting to get Ending Blow at some point, and not being able to finish a run because of that. And that's pretty much it. We can enter Forest Temple in around 40 minutes. But there's more. Since I was able to beat, or rather get the Forest Temple this early, I thought, hey, how quickly can I do the Forest Temple itself on top of that? I will also allow myself to use glitches, mainly because I just want to, and this is not part of the actual run anymore. I just wanted to see how quickly I could do it. One important thing to know is that pretty much the only glitch we'll be using is called an LJA, and I will explain it when it becomes relevant later in the dungeon. It essentially allows us to skip getting 2 or 3 of the monkeys in the dungeon, and it's useful throughout the entire game, especially when you're trying to speedrun it. Not only does it look really cool, but it is also rather easy to perform. Nice bonk. I will bonk a lot during this temple, and I wish I didn't do it as much. It just really sucks that rolling and opening doors is on the same button. Also, for the first time, we can just completely ignore the spider, since we don't need the monkey to reach the first part of the temple. There's a glitch called Back in Time that essentially allows you to skip getting all the monkeys together and just immediately get to the boss fight where you get the Gil Boomerang. It's not too difficult of a trick, but it also requires a bit of skill, and I'm not doing it here because I just don't know how it works. But one important thing to note is that in combination with getting that early boss and not having to do the entire dungeon and the before mentioned LJA or long jump attack, you can essentially skip the entire dungeon and be done with it in a couple minutes. Here I kind of fucked up. I didn't mean to target the spider for that long. I kind of went brain dead and just did it. That means I just have to run through the room again, which is unfortunate. I also forget where I need to go, since the monkey leads you to a door where you need a key, and I don't currently have a key. You can see me being a bit confused as to where the key is, and then immediately realizing where I actually have to go, which is kinda unfortunate. These windmills, or rather these bridges, operate on a wind cycle, and that cycle is fixed. So it runs even when you're not in the room. And depending on the wind cycle, you can either get really lucky and don't have to wait for bridges, or get unlucky and have to wait for bridges. Sometimes I roll past the cage a lot when trying to hit it quickly. Luckily it didn't happen this time, but it's gonna be really frustrating. I tried to kill these Bacopolins in the same way as I killed the other ones, but my position was off and I was too slow, so I just have to kill them individually. Also, nice bonk. I don't even know what I bonked on there. Nice bonk again. Usually I won't take the monkeys to get back to the middle platform, because jumping off not only avoids a cutscene, but it just, in my opinion, is a bit faster. I have never timed it. It might be slower, but I don't think it is. I try to jump past these plants, which is possible. Unfortunately, I don't get it here and get eaten up. And I decide to just blow up the plants next time. That's a scary spider. I really hope it's relevant and we don't have to kill it. Nice bonk again. I really don't know what it was in this run. I just bonked a lot. One important thing to note about Link in regards to his jump attack is that where you have to face your control stick is relative to Link's position on the screen, not the camera. So I do a few side hops here because I'm just stupid. Wherever Link is facing, that is forward, not where the camera is facing. There's a really cool thing you can do here to get the key. When you stand in the right position, you will essentially stand right in front of the key, which allows you to pick it up immediately. Now we're on to the first boss, or rather mini-boss of the game, which will give us the Gale Boomerang probably the most broken item in all of Twilight Princess, and you will see why in a second. How often the monkey decides to jump is RNG. The best RNG you can get is around 2 jumps, or it is 2 jumps, so getting 3 jumps here is really good. Luckily, I'm really bad at the video game, so the monkey gets to live a few more cycles than he's supposed to. Me spinning my control stick like that is not because I'm funny or something, it's mainly because I'm trying to get spin attacks since they do more damage. Unfortunately, the spin attack timing is really difficult to hit for some reason, I just suck at it. Now for some reason the boomerang decides to talk to us, and this is the only time in the game where the boomerang talks to us. For whatever reason, I don't know. I don't know why, but you have to shoot this windmill 3 times with the boomerang to open the door. I think 1 would have been enough to teach the player how it works, but you have to do it 3 times. There's one slight optimization that we are doing, which is after throwing the boomerang, we try to get a roll in to land as close to the door as possible when it's being able to open up. Just like that. With the boomerang in hand, these are all the monkeys that we have to save, and we can essentially head straight to the boss, except for the fact that we don't have the boss key, which is the only last thing we need to collect. Which also means that I will just be skipping this monkey over there completely, because I just don't have to get him to finish the temple. Earlier I mentioned these bridges to be on wind cycles, and you can see what I talked about before. This bridge will decide to turn because it's on the wrong wind cycle, and I almost fall off here. But luckily, Link is very sporty and can make the jump in time. Now that we have the boss key, we can head straight to the boss, since we don't have to save the last 3 monkeys at all. I should now mention how the boomerang works, as I forget the layout of the dungeon and get into the wrong room. So, the game gives you a jump attack, right? And when you're further away from something that you're targeting, you will get a longer jump attack, which is pretty neat. It makes it so that you can jump attack stuff from pretty far away. However, there's a bit of an oversight with the boomerang. When you throw the boomerang, Link automatically targets it. And whenever that boomerang is either above Link, out of bounds, or over Void, the game will just give Link the full speed of a jump attack, regardless of where he is or what he's doing. This allows us to get really far jump attacks, which can skip a lot of things. For example, on these stairs you'd normally have to climb them, but by throwing the boomerang up and just doing a jump attack, we can just skip that. If you don't mess up like I did, it's a lot faster. And here in this room, you'd normally need all the monkeys, but since we have the boomerang and there's a huge ass void, we can just use that to jump over. Now, ideally you would land a bit further to the left, because as you can see I almost fall off here because I have a bad position. But this boomerang trick is really versatile, and wherever you can throw the boomerang above Link, out of bounds, or into a void, is where you can do this trick. You only have to time your jump attack to whenever the boomerang is in one of these three states. And with that, we just skipped getting all the monkeys and are right onto the boss fight. There's actually a way to one-cycle this boss by juggling the bombs. Whenever you put a bomb into a boomerang, it resets its bomb timer, and you can use that to juggle bombs into the second phase and finish it off really quickly, so you don't have to wait for the monkey. We won't be doing this here though, because I don't know how it works. I find it really funny, by the way, that the rope just defies physics. It just stays in the air there as long as the monkey wants. Really funny. I got really lucky here with the barber trying to attack me, which essentially allows me to skip killing the barbers and just immediately hit the main boss. And with that, that's Forest Temple done in 20 minutes. Alright, just to close this video, I want to say once more that I did not make this video to hate on gaming essays, skills as a gamer, or the video in general. He makes really great videos about Zelda games, and this is just as great as a video as the other ones. The time he got just seemed a bit too long, and I simply wanted to see what I could do with the game after not having played for a long time. I didn't really practice this run, it's very unoptimized. You could probably get a faster time. In fact, speedrunners will probably get a lot faster over time than I did. But I think I am right in that middle between someone who is a very casual Zelda player and someone who also knows a bit about the game, which I think is a good standing point to see where the game stands. You know, it gets a lot of flack for having a slow tedious, annoying beginning, and some parts are really annoying, like goats or the fucking lantern section with the monkey. But if you get past all of that, it's a really good game, and I think you should give it a try. I will also link Gaming S's channel and this video in the description. You should check him out. He makes really cool stuff. Similar videos like this, where he tries to do things in Zelda games and just sees how long it takes across all of them. And with that all said, yeah, that's the video. Goodbye.